Hey ladies and gentlemen, hello, welcome, live stream pre-match. Lazio versus Celtic kicks off in roughly an hour's time. Our penultimate Champions League game, a must-win for Celtic. If we have any hopes of European football after Christmas, then we must win this game. We also need to hope that Feyenoord lose to... We need a few things going our way. It's a miracle, it's a long shot. I mean, even beating Lazio tonight seems a little bit out of reach. With the way that we've performed in the Champions League this season, with the way that things have been going for us recently, with the injuries, with the 11 that we're fielding, it's a miracle. It's a reach to say that we'll even beat Lazio tonight. But should we have any sort of opportunity of getting to European football after Christmas, then we must win tonight. So we'll be watching with eager eyes. The chat is packing. Everybody's coming in. Nice to see you. Somebody says, Ryan, get the yellow tap on. It's too late now. I've committed. Listen. Talking about taps, talking about what top to wear. I've never been at a game where I've lost. That Celtic have lost where I've wore this. But I'm obviously not at the game tonight. We're supposed to be at the game, but not there. So I've got it on anyway, just in case. If you know who's on the back of it, that might make you worry a little bit. But we're here to do the lineup reaction. We're here to look at the Lazio team as well. We're here to have a bit of a gab before the game tonight. A huge game, of course. Let's just get right into things because Celtic have announced their team for this evening. I don't know if you've seen it yet. You probably have. If you haven't, then I'm going to bring it up on screen now. There is Celtic starting 11 for tonight's game. It's not a change of formation. It's still the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1, however you want to look at it under Brendan Rodgers. But that's the team. I'm going to run through it very quickly. In goals, Joe Hart, a back four of Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. A midfield three of Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and Paulo Bernardo. And a front three of James Forrest, Yang and Kyogo. That is the team for tonight. The bench, wow. You talk about game changers. Not many on that bench this evening, if anything. You need to hope that somebody from the future of Celtic Football Club might be a game changer tonight should we need it. Because the bench is full of Scott Bain, Morrison, Lagerbielke, Phillips, Turnbull, Odin Thiago Holm, O, Ralston, Welsh, Frame and Mikey Johnston. So, there you go. That's the bench. Doesn't give you a lot of hope should we need to change things up at some point in the second half. But that is the team that Celtic have been forced into playing, by the way. That is the team that will field tonight. Can I talk? Predicted it exactly. You know, I got it spot on. I did say, wait, I just changed the background. I did say this would be the team. I said that this would be it. Frame, everybody's asking, who's Frame? Is he? I think it's Mitchell Frame of the young side. He's one of the B, there you go, one of the B team players. A lot of people going, who the fuck's Frame? Yeah, it's not an actual photo frame on the bench. It is a person. I believe it's Mitchell. I mean, that would be a turn for the books, wouldn't it? 1-0 Celtic, Frame, 94th minute. I mean, that's ambitious thinking, to be honest. But this is one of these kind of... This is one of these screens that... One of these team selections that really does expose the lack of ambition at Celtic and the lack of investment and quality and great depth. I know we're unlucky at the minute. Listen, you could have Abada there tonight, you could have Maida there tonight, you could have Palmer there tonight, you could have Hatate there. That's four key players that would usually take up the spots of Frame, Morrison, Lagerbielke perhaps, Mikey Johnson. Those are four players that normally would be there, but for me, it exposes how poorly Brendan Rodgers was backed in the summer transfer window when you look at it in a great depth. But there's no point talking about that right now. Because there's one thing that's more important, and that's the 90 minutes that's about to be played. So we can moan and we can, you know, talk about it all we like. Let's save it for after the game. Save it for after the game. There's no point just now. There is 90 minutes to play here. It's a must-win 90 minutes for Celtic. This is the hand that Brendan Rodgers has been forced to play with. The big conversation, of course, is that front three. James Forrest, Kyogo and Yang. That's the front three. It looks as though it's going to be Forrest on the right and Yang on the left. I imagine that throughout the game we'll probably see them switch wings. To try and kind of change things up. But that's what we've got to deal with, I'm afraid. James Forrest scored the last time we were in Rome. He scored against Lazio back in November 2019. Can he repeat the feat tonight? I don't know. I would love him to. But we are looking at a completely different James Forrest. A 4 years difference in the career of James Forrest. He's not the same player as he was in 2019. He's far from it, I should say. But look, listen, this is a team that if they go out there tonight and do things right and do what they've done in the first leg against Lazio, we can win this game. We can. It's not an impossibility, it's an improbability. I'm not going to say that there's a very good chance of it, but what I will say is there is the opportunity there tonight should we do things the right way. We just need to cut out silly mistakes. We need to take the game to them. We need to make the same amount of chances that we made at Celtic Park, and we have to take those chances. I don't think this will be a touch wood. Everybody, if you've got wood in front of you, touch it. That could be taken out of context. But if you have got it, touch it, right? Don't want to repeat a Madrid here. We can't capitulate the way we did in Madrid. Of course, the big talking point about Madrid was the sending off. That kind of changed the game. That opened it for Atletico, and they just played about with us from there. In our opening 2 Champions League away games, both at the Coupe in Rotterdam and at the Metropolitano in Madrid, we got sending offs that cost us any chance of winning the game. And of course, in Rotterdam, it was 2 sending offs. They can't do that tonight. There can be no red cards. There can be no mistakes. You've got to keep the heat. You've got to do things the right way, the sensible way. And don't give Lazio any opportunity. Don't give them a red card to play about with 10 men. Don't give them a slack pass at the back. Don't give them a dodgy free kick out of nowhere. We've got to learn from these mistakes that we've made so far in the Champions League and keep hope alive. And that's the 11 that's going to have to do it for us. So there's the Celtic 11. What's the Lazio 11, you're asking, and I'll get into the Q&A segment in a moment. I'll take your questions and we'll go through that for the kind of the way that we normally would in one of these live streams. Let's get the Lazio team up very quickly. Here's what Lazio are going with tonight. They are going 4-3-3. I expect them to maybe go 5 at the back. However, they are missing the likes of Romagnoli. He is injured, so maybe that's forced their hand into playing this as their side tonight. 4-3-3, Provedel in goals, Lazzari, Patric, Gila, Maricic, midfield 3 of Guendouzi, Rivera and Luis Alberto, and a front 3 of Felipe Anderson, Castellanos and Isaacson. On the bench, of course, have some recognisable names, of course, Shiro Immobile on there, Daichi Kamada on there, Pedro, who scored the winner at Celtic Park, Pellegrini as well. Some decent players on that bench. They've got a much better bench than Celtic, there's no denying that. However, a team there that we've seen at Celtic Park firsthand that we can play about with, we can do things if we make chances. They will give away chances, and I'm fancying our chances against a side playing 4 at the back against us. So, yeah, look, this is a 4-3-3 for them, a 4-3-3 for us. It's going to be an even game. I hope nobody in that Lazio team decides to turn up and have the game of their life. You look at players who have always kind of been known for their flair. Felipe Anderson, someone who got his big Premier League move because of what he'd done in Italy. Didn't quite work out from the Prem, but we know why he got that move. Guys like Luis Alberto, who've been around the block for a while now. They've done it. They've been there. They've played in big games, played at massive competitions. They've got players in that team who can damage us. We just need to make sure we don't give them anything stupid. So there's the Lazio team. They will be favourites for this game. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, listen, we can't get too disheartened if the full-time result is a Lazio win, because ultimately that's the situation that we're in as Celtic at the moment. But look, it's the hope that kills you, I suppose. It's the hope that kills you. Am I confident? I guess that'll be one of the main questions. Am I confident? I'm optimistic. Can Celtic do it? I don't know. Is my genuine answer. I really don't know. Listen. If we had Abada and Maida on the wings, or Palma and Abada on the wings, I would have been buzzing and honestly probably quite optimistic of getting a result here tonight. But the fact that we have to start a front 3 with an inexperienced Yang on one side, James Forrest, whose career is at the stage of his career it doesn't fill me with the utmost confidence that Celtic can get a result there tonight. So am I looking at Cammy's put it bluntly, was saying we're going to get a bum scalping tonight and sent home. I could see it. I really could. There's just players on that bench and in that team that aren't the level required to compete with a Lazio. And that's just the honest truth. I mean, I like to look at things, you know me, I like to look at things optimistically, and I'm one of the most optimistic Celtic fans you'll meet. But when you look at the opening 4 games in this Champions League campaign and you look how exposed some players are, it does make you lack that little bit of optimism or confidence that you need to go and beat a side like Lazio on a night like tonight, especially when the stakes are so high. So, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. The teams are out, and that's the main thing. We'll come back to it I guess it's time to just talk about the game a little bit, take your questions, give you answers. We'll obviously be back on the channel tonight as well doing the match reaction. Who knows how my tone will sound come 8 o'clock this evening. Nerves building for Scottish Danksford. Yeah, the nerves are building here a little bit. We've still got about an hour to kick off, so I'd imagine in 40 minutes time I will be pooping my pants. Yes, to put it PG for you. Wonder if they'll target Taylor, one of the players who has struggled in this Champions League campaign. He's struggled, I think, all campaign really to really bring that confidence and that quality that he showed last season. It's kind of like a second season syndrome sort of thing. They probably will target him. They know there's weakness there, and I'm sure there was. If I remember back to the first game against Lazio, he was one of the players who I think were criticised the most in that game. So they'll know where Celtic's weaknesses are, and they'll target that. You know, this isn't match day 1 or 2 anymore. This isn't, you know, Lazio, Athletic or Feyenoord going into the game thinking, oh, we don't know what Celtic are going to give us here. They know now. They've played this, and they know now that Celtic. This is the one thing that also takes away a bit of confidence from me. Lazio and Italian sides in general are obviously famous for, you know, sitting back, defending, taking their time, and getting the job done. They know that Celtic need to go for this tonight. You know, we need to. There's no questioning that. Celtic need to go for the win. They need to score goals and they need 3 points. That might play right into Lazio's hands. I'm not trying to put the fear of God in anybody here. I'm not trying to be pessimistic or overly negative about things. But Lazio will use that. Maurizio Sarri is a master of that. He'll love that. He'll be like, do you know what? Defend. Let the job done. Counter on them. Bang. Greg Taylor out of position. Alistair Johnson out of position. Down the wings. Goal. They'll look for opportunities like that tonight. There's absolutely no denying it because they know that Celtic need to go for it. So does that play into their hands? We'll need to wait and see. Nothing to lose. Go straight for the throat, says Luke. Very bluntly put. Martin says, hi Ryan, I fear the worst for tonight. Yeah, I think a lot of people are on that. I mean, Sam, 1% confidence, 99% hope. Now, I am seeing a few people in the chat who are saying, oh, I'm quietly confident. You know, I'm quite optimistic. But I think generally the overall feeling within Celtic supporters going into this game is the negatives. Mark in the comments saying that team and the bench is exactly why we're out of Europe after 4 games. And it's hard to argue it. I mean, we must be one of the only teams in the entire competition, not even just the Champions League, across the top 2 competitions, the Champions League and the Europa League. We must be one of the only teams who are filling up spaces with B-team players, not young players who have a few. These are young players who we don't know about yet. It's not like, you know, how Manchester United put Garnacho on the bench, or Palestri on the bench, or Kobe Mainoo on the bench. These are players who have a very clear path into the first team, and they have, you know, a bright future at their clubs. We don't know anything about these guys. All they've done is play B-team football. We must be one of the only teams in these competitions that actually do that. And it is one of the reasons we're out, you know? It is one of the reasons that we're out. Lazio are 11th in their country's league. If we get smoked, it's game air for Peter Pan Lawwell and his cronies, taking the good Celtic fans for all they are worth. Sadly, it won't be game over for them, no matter what the result is tonight. It's never going to be game over for Peter Lawwell, really. But it should be an alarming concern. I don't agree. I don't disagree with the sentiment of what you're saying, Paul. I don't at all. I get what you're saying. I mean, it should be. I would, if I had a say in the matter, God, you know what it would be. You know what it would be from me, but sadly, that ain't going to happen. I mean, this is always the narrative every year, isn't it? That, you know, clubs like, I mean, granted, I would argue that Roma are probably more equipped in the modern world to go and do better things. I mean, European final, etc. And a manager like Jose Mourinho. But it's true, and I mean, it's a tiresome thing to say. I'm fed up every year of going, oh, look what Ajax do, look what Copenhagen do. I'm fed up of it. It's not an excuse. But it is once again, the sentiment is true of it all. Like these are, you know, clubs who are in similar operating. Once again, I'd maybe not argue Roma, but I'd argue certainly Copenhagen and clubs like that. They're in similar operating worlds as Celtic, and they're doing much better. You know, and it's just something that's, you know, I'm sick of it. You know, as Paul said, I am sick of it. I absolutely am. Fed up of just disappointment in Europe year after year. And who knows? Maybe I'll be on this channel delighted tonight. We've given ourselves a glimmer of hope. Who knows? Maybe. But let's be real. That doesn't excuse the top 4 or the first 4, sorry, performances in the group and the position that we've let ourselves as a club be in. Because it's very easy to go around and blame a manager and blame players, and you know, obviously they do need to take a share of blame when you get these kind of results. But at the end of the day, the board are the ones who put out the equipment for the manager and give him the tools, and these are the tools, that squad that we've seen are the tools that he's got to deal with. So yeah, let's see, what else can we get? Let's see, what else? Getting my viewing sort of. Steve Bruce is in the chat. I was a bacon, did you say? All right, Brucey. Nice to see you. Blake, always in the streams. I'm hopeful as always, but let's be honest, we're weaker than where we were when we faced them last time. So even less. Yeah, and I kind of touched on this last night. You know, back in 2019, you can say whatever you want about Lenny and Neil Lennon being in charge, etc. But one thing Neil Lennon had to his disposal that season was a bit of depth to the side. He was able to make changes throughout the game, which would directly influence what was happening on the park. I don't see one player on that bench, not one, and I mean this when I say it, not one player on that bench, not even David Turnbull. I don't think David Turnbull's a game changer against Lazio. Not one player on that bench can come on and influence a game, whereas Lennon, he had a couple of options. I mean, and Cham came on and scored that night. You know what I mean? Like, he had a couple of options. We're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, you could say. And it's annoying. How come I'm not there? I just decided to patch it. You know, the ticket stuff was just a farce, and I couldn't be bothered going over to, you know, get knocked back and then whipped with a Polish baton or something. But basically, I paid for the flights, had it all sorted. Then they released the criteria. Didn't make the criteria. They also announced that the fact that the tickets were going to be, you know, checked with passports and all. And I just thought, what's the point of me going to Rome, spending 200, 300 quid on potential beer and food and yada yada when I could sit here, save the money, and just watch the game from home, do my video and all that. I just thought, and I'm away to Tenerife a week tomorrow, so you've got to keep my money. So I just decided to leave it, but you know, hopefully next year. It's just a farce. I don't know why we didn't get more tickets. It's just, yeah, really frustrating. Just want a bag of cans and Lenny back, says Kerr. Yes, of course. I'll get the lineup back in a couple of moments' time for anybody who hasn't maybe seen it or whatever, but we'll go through a couple more questions first, and I'll come back to questions after I get the lineup up again as well. Yeah, I mean, Holm is, once again, I'd love to look at Holm and go, oh, he's a good option off the bench and he's a game, but he's a young lad, you know, he's 20 years old, he's never played at this level, and the last time he did play at this level, he got sent off after, fucking 15 minutes. So, like, you know, I don't account him as that player yet, you know, and that's just me being a realist rather than anything else. But aye, let's see. Do you think we'd be better if we took the wingers off? The risk with that is, like, it's people always suggest, oh, Rodgers should start playing 5 at the back, or 5-3-2 or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea in theory, of course, but are the team going to be able to adapt to that in the space of one night? Is it going to work? And then if it doesn't work, then Rodgers gets called everything under the sun, doesn't he? If it doesn't work, then it's like, oh, why did he change it? Oh, very naive of him, blah blah blah. So it's a nice theory, but it comes with its risks, and I don't know. I wouldn't be one for changing it on the night. Maybe throughout the game. I think if you can maybe kind of adapt as you're going and see what the opposition are doing, but going into a game like that, I've never been kind of for it, to be honest. It just depends. It depends on the personnel as well. Like, listen, I don't know if we've, you know, it's very easy to say ditch the wingers, right? And then you put Kyogo and O up top together, and I'm like, okay, so we're relying on wing-back service from Johnson and Taylor. Is it, you know, I don't know. It depends on the personnel that you've got as well. So any word if Awat is injured? I've not heard anything about an Awat injury, but he's surely got to be if he's not in that bench, because he was registered, wasn't he? He was registered for this Champions League squad. So I feel like a tramp at the minute. I'm finally getting my hair cut on Thursday. It just, I don't know. Awat is a weird one. He's got to be injured. There's got to be, because it's not like Rodgers has showed evidence of not liking him. He's brought him on. So I don't know. I don't understand, really. I don't understand the whole Awat thing. He's got to have got a knock. Listen, I know. I am being negative. I don't think I'm being overly negative. Not as negative as some people. But, I mean, you've just got to be realistic, haven't you? There's no point in getting my hopes up to get battered 3-0 tonight. Because it could happen. And like there is, and this is the thing. There's a lot of negatives to this as well. Like, look at the squad. There is so many negatives, and you can't ignore them all the time. Like, you can't. But this is a big wake-up call for January. Mr. Pickle says, I don't see us ever getting backed financially. It's not how we are run, so I don't see the reason for people complaining about it. Well, that's the reason for complaining about it, though, isn't it? Like, we're fed up with it. As fans, we put our life into this club. We put our money into it, our hard-earned money. You know, we're paying £500, £600 for season tickets. Some people pay hundreds following the club home and away over Europe and Scotland. No wonder we want to see a wee bit more back, and I think we're more than entitled to complain about it. I think that's, you know, I think that there will be more people at the AGMs that are like-minded to your man Joe, who was there, who stuck it right to Lawwell, then who's threatened to get kicked out because of it. We need more people like that at the things. Right, let's get the team back up again, just to remind on anybody, because we've got over 400 viewers, nearly 500 viewers at the minute, so thank you very much for the support so far. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. That's very important. Do that. Like and subscribe. I'm not talking until you've done it. I'm looking at you. Especially the like button. Do it. Okay, we'll move on. Here's the team. There it is again. Hart, Johnson, Vickers, Scales, Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly, Bernardo, Forrest, Yang, Kyogo, the bench of Bain, Morrison, Lagerbielke, Phillips, Turnbull, Holm, Ralston, Welsh, Freeman, Johnson. Yeah. A lot of optimism has to be in your body for tonight, and that's just the truth. I just can't help it. You know, I love being the optimistic fan, but I just look at the bench and I'm like, my God. Like, because usually you've got somebody who can be like, right, he has to get wee Palma on or something. None of that tonight. I mean, he's going to get wee Johnson on. Do me a favour. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, who knows? It's a massive opportunity for someone to step up. We've seen it happen. You know, we have seen players step up. I mean, look at Tony Watt, came on and scored. But listen, these things are very few and far between. So, yeah, that is the team. 4-3-3. O'Reilly, Bernardo and McGregor need to control that game in the middle of the park. I think that's our most quality-filled area. And I know Bernardo's got his doubters and such, but we're looking at a guy on loan from Benfica. He's clearly got quality. He's played for the Portugal under-21s. He's clearly got quality. So I think that in that midfield three, you've got to hope they control the game, because that's where our best area of players is for this game. And I said last night in the stream, I'd like to see us try and go through the middle. It might get congested, but listen, abuse Kyogo's runs, abuse his pace, get O'Reilly, Bernardo, McGregor to play like nice passes, go through the middle. I know we like going down the wings, but do we rely on Forrest taking on a man? Do we rely on the rawness of Yang? Play through the middle. You know, I know it's difficult to once again change it up, but yeah. But I have belief. You know what? I'm not going to say no chance at all of winning tonight. Absolutely not. It's just obviously, you know, sometimes you have a bit more faith than others. So yeah, that's once again the team. We've been live for about 25 minutes, so we'll do 5 more minutes of questions. And then I'll let you all get away and get your tellies ready and all the rest of it. So get your questions in to finish off the stream. And that would be lovely. And we'll obviously be back on the channel later tonight, where I might be extremely depressed or extremely happy. Who knows? Who knows how I'll be? I feel like I should have been there tonight, because the last time I was there, we obviously won 2-1. And that's a wee bit of a good luck charm. But you know, I'm glad I'm not going to ruin it if we get beat. You know, if I went there and we got beat 3-0, then I will never be able to say, oh, last time I was here, we won. You know what I mean? So, we'll see. Ewan on the pessimistic side as well, and nice to touch on the Punk return, saying, don't have any confidence whatsoever, but you never know. Our away record in the Champions League is shocking, needs to improve. It's so good having to see CM Punk back. Yes, it is, brother. Yes, it is. The shop's out. The shop's ordered. He's back. Hell froze over, brother. Never been happier. Frame has massive potential to be like Tierney, is thought to be similar to him at the same age. Wow, that's a big claim. We'll see. Needs a fucking game first. You know, but hopefully. I mean, we don't produce enough youth players at Celtic. We don't produce, nobody's coming through the system. And that's a completely different topic in itself, a completely different video or live stream. You know what I mean? That's just, yeah. Bench is shocking. 5 defenders, 2 goalkeepers, 2 midfielders and 1 attacker. Yay. Just fucking remind me how bad it is, Chris. Thanks very much. This is a Hail Mary situation, says Charlie Angel. It seems like everybody's got the same kind of sentiment. I mean, then there's Ronan saying, this is the day. I like Irish lads, just Irish lads, just, come on, the boys. That's it. Well, we're backing them, obviously. I want them to fucking win. But it's also just going to be a very, very tough game. Keep 11 men on the pitch, and we have every chance Lazio at Madrid. And that's one thing that I've not really spoke about that much on this stream. Lazio aren't a great team at the minute. They're not. And they showed that at Celtic Park. We were robbed that night. And they're 11th in the Serie A. They lost at the weekend to Salernitana, who I've never even heard of before this season. And they aren't a great team. So, there is reason to be optimistic. There is reason to be kind of positive, but generally, we've seen what's happened in the Champions League so far this season, and it's just not been ideal. Yeah, I mean, that's another good point from Mark. I mean, we're at the point now where you're asking how are O'Day and McManus still in charge, but I think we're 11th in the Lowland League. That's embarrassing. And O'Day and McManus are still in jobs. I mean, obviously, I like O'Day and McManus as good Celtic men, and McManus was one of my favourite players when I was younger. I like them, but surely at a point you've got to realise that the development of Celtic's going no further. And surely a change has to get made. I mean, you look at a club like Manchester City, who are obviously worlds apart from us at the minute, and the constant train of youth players they're providing and the coaching that they're getting at youth level is elite. We're not getting elite coaching at youth level at the minute, and that's just the truth. Yeah. I think that we've... No, I'm not doing a Goldbridge stream. Christ, no for this. God, I'd get cancelled or something. If I was to do a watch along for a Champions League game, oh my, that would be the end of me. I wouldn't even. I'm not saying I'd say anything bad or anything like that, but I just think that everybody would look at me in a different light. God, if you've ever sat beside me at a game, you'll know that. But aye, right. I'm going to wrap it up there for the stream because my God, the nerves are building a little bit. Listen, if we don't win tonight, we don't win tonight. I'm kind of over it. This group has been what it is. For what it's worth, I think that we've been unlucky at times. I think that, if things just went a little bit better on the night for us against Atletico at Celtic Park and Lazio at Celtic Park, we could have been a completely different narrative at the minute, but that's just not how it's happened. And then obviously the Atletico game blew everything into another world, another realm. So... yeah, it's frustrating, but tonight's performance and team could be a real kind of alarm bell for the... It should be, should be an alarm bell for the board if the performance isn't great. And you look at the team that's out there, it's got to be. But yeah, thank you for watching, listening, whatever you've been doing. Enjoy the game. I'll be on tonight for the match reaction video. That'll be up hopefully, as soon as after the game as I can. Should hopefully be up for about, 9 o'clock. And hopefully it's positive or whatever. So yeah, thanks very much everybody. Enjoy the game and I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Ta-da. Ta.